So we'll be now starting this session with a short kirat, and then I would request Fuzail Bhai to please give a short introduction of ANP, and then we'll start the live session. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم. Thank you. So I now request Fuzail Bhai to please give a brief introduction of ANP before we start the live session. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Shazad. Nice of you. A very good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon to Mr. Gopinath Nair, who is our speaker from the day for the day as well. Now, I would firstly like to share my screen and take you through a bit about AMP as an organization. So I hope you all can see my screen. All right. So good afternoon and welcome to the online career guidance seminar from the Association of Muslim Professionals. So I'll tell you a bit about AMP. AMP is a registered non-profit organization. We are registered in India, in USA, in UK, and in Australia. We have completed and currently running our 13th year, 12 years, serving our community in the field of education, employment, and empowerment only. Our vision is to positively impact lives of 10 million people by 2030, and we are well on track with that goal. And our mission is to basically empower all of the unprivileged people for the greater benefit of our society and in general for the benefit of the nation as well. And our vision is that we want to build a model community which is progressive in terms of education, social understanding, cultural, political, and economic. A few achievements that I'd like to share with all of you at this point of time. These are projects that we currently have and we are running, and these are not the only projects. There are lots of other projects, but these are our core projects. The school development programs, we develop the skills of students and teachers. We've 800 plus connected schools and benefited more than 275 students out of the school development program, and we've held more than 2,750 skill development lectures till date, and we've trained more than 100 plus teachers, and we've had 100 plus teachers and parenting workshops where we've had sessions with various teachers and parents and advised them on how they should be taking education forward for their children. We have the employment assistance cell where we've conducted more than 350 job fairs and drives for people who are looking for jobs, and more than 20,000 plus candidates who visited these jobs fairs and drives. They've been successfully placed in various organizations and are working. We have 200 plus employability trainings that we've conducted, and we've had more than 15,000 plus students who have benefited out of all of our initiatives and operations. Scholarships, we have 800 plus higher education scholarships. We've helped more than 715 orphans who otherwise would not get access to education. We've transformed 200 plus families through self-employment assistance, and we've made them self-dependent. And we also have the centralized AMP Resource Center. We have a knowledge bank of more than 600 plus real-time career counselors who we work with. We have counseled more than 2,000 plus students, and we are growing a knowledge bank on our documents in terms of career guidance. We already have 50 plus so far. And we also have done more than 1,000 plus career chart distributions, because we believe that, and it's usually given to the people who are students who are in 12 plus. And we believe that the earlier people realize what they need to do in their career, it's better. So the career chart gives them a very clear perspective of what they choose and where they will land up in their career. Awards and partnerships, 280 plus renowned educationalists are connected and awarded. We have 30 plus partners that we partner with for the job fairs and the skill training that we do, including the state governments. And we have 50 plus partner NGOs that we work with across various cities. So that's a very short introduction in terms of achievement of what AMP has achieved so far. To cut everything short, we basically have an on-ground presence of about 100 plus active chapters with executive bodies in multiple cities. We've spread across 25 states and have a presence in 16 plus countries across the world, and 6,000 plus active registered full-time members that we work with. And we have an online presence of 1,25,000 members and professionals through the internet. So to know more about AMP, please visit ampindia.org. To join us, please visit ampindia.org/joinamp, and please help us, in developing our society and our nation. So that's it from me with regards to the AMP introduction. I would now like to introduce the speaker of the day. Our speaker for the day is Mr. Gopinath Nair. And Sir is the founder, currently the founder and president of IUDNA. And Gopinath Sir has a multifaceted and rewarding career. He's been active in the travel and tourism industry for over 38 years. And he has been a regional head and has held CXO level positions in leading travel brands, including American Express, TRS, Cox and Kings, and Kony. And he also has a founder and CEO of Tourism DNA, which is based in Bangalore. He's been a recipient of many awards and citations, including the American Express Worldwide Great Performer Award for Outstanding Customer Service, and he was member of the Chairman's Award for the Quality Winning Team at American Express TRS. So as soon as the COVID-19 lockdown was announced in March 2020, Sir, got off the blocks to launch IUDNA, and with a sharp focus to make IUDNA to become a name to reckon with in the wellness and healing space across India, and also expand overseas. He's now building a core team and his co-founder Suma Nair to take IUDNA to the next level. Sir enjoys reading, he writes blogs, he's a passionate singer, and he also loves traveling. And of course, that's one of the reasons that we are honored to have him to share his experience in the travel and tourism industry, which is our topic for the day. So over to you, Gopi sir, and thank you all.
Thank you, Suved. Good afternoon. Namaste. Adab. How are you all doing today? I hope COVID times, working from home. So as I was introduced, I started my travel and tourism career. Actually, I came into the career by sheer accident. I used to work for an advertising agency in Calcutta, and one of my customers was a travel agent who sold a job to me. In fact, he took me by surprise because I had no clue what I was getting into. But 38 years later, I think I'm very fortunate to have been in one of the most beautiful industries, travel, tourism, and hospitality. And I've been able to travel to over 40 countries, number of states in India, and I've had a great time. Lots of fun. And both my daughters also enjoy traveling just like their father. So you're all very young. You must be what, 12th pass, 12th standard, or early college. So in the late teens. So as you look forward to a career, why travel and tourism and hospitality? I know it is because of COVID. For the next 12, 18 months, this industry is going to really suffer. But on a long term, I think it's got everything going for a career. What is a travel and tourism career? It is divided into many parts. So it could be, why do people travel? People travel for several reasons, and that is the fundamental foundation of this industry. So the earliest travelers travel for wandering from village to village, and then came the pilgrimages for people traveling to faraway places, like you all travel to Saudi Arabia, the Makkah, the Medina for Umrah and the Hajj. Like that, many people travel to the Char Dhams, millions of people go to Shabarimala in Kerala. So like that, you have pilgrimages, then you travel for business, you travel as a businessman or a corporation, you travel for business, so that is business travel. Then you travel for wellness, and that is medical related travel or wellness tourism. You travel for corporate meetings and incentives and events, so that is MICE travel. Then you travel for holiday with your family and friends, that is leisure travel. So this travel and tourism industry is divided into many, many parts, and you can actually decide what you want to do. But as you start off in your career, my suggestions are as follows. First of all, get a degree or at least a diploma in travel and tourism. It's very, very important that you have the basic qualification, because most organizations will not take you unless you have a basic qualification of either an IATA UFTA diploma or a graduation, or you could also do post-graduation in travel and tourism, hospitality. And if you enter the hotel industry, then you go into one of the hospitality colleges and get a degree or a diploma. So once you have the educational background and the basic learning in travel and tourism, then there's a whole world waiting for you out there, because you could decide to enter business travel, where you make arrangements for businesses, you make arrangements for corporates. That would involve fare construction, ticketing, it would involve itinerary planning. So what do you require? You require a very good command over geography. And in all these jobs, one very important thing is आपकी जो भाषा है वो बहुत शुद्ध होनी चाहिए. So you should have a very good command over the language. It could be the local language, it could be Hindi, it could be Urdu, definitely English, because that's the business language that is spoken across the world. So have a basic understanding and start by specializing in something, even if it is a very small job. If you are a ticketing agency, just start specializing in that and become very, very good, because you cannot become a master of too many things. It's better to be a master of one trade than jack of too many trades. So my suggestion is concentrate on one part of the travel business, and later as you grow, like I did, I came from the ticketing background, then I came into inbound, then I came into outbound, then we did MICE. So all that you can do as you grow in your career. So you have business travel, you have pilgrimage travel, you have meeting and incentive travel. That's arranging conferences, incentives, seminars, or events for your corporates. So that's a very, very big part of the travel and tourism business. Then you have holiday travel. Holiday travel could be domestic holidays, it could be international holidays, or it could be inbound holidays for foreigners coming into India. So that is each of these are very different subjects. So if you are a domestic travel operator, you should have in-depth knowledge of places within India. For example, it could be Kerala, it could be Goa, it could be Rajasthan, or it could be the Northeast. But if you're looking at international travel, then you must have very good knowledge of Singapore, Thailand, Malaysia, wherever. So you should be so good that you're able to plan an itinerary in your mind. You should be able to draw the map of the world in your mind. So when you're traveling, when you have arranging a tour program which covers Turkey, Paris, and London, so you do not take the passenger first to London, then to Turkey, and then to Paris. You either start with London, Paris, and then Istanbul, or Istanbul, Paris, and then London. So that's a natural geographic progression that you need to make. So understanding the world map, understanding the travel terminologies. Every job has got a terminology. So you need to understand the codes, the airline codes, for example. When you talk in the travel and tourism language, you are not saying A for apple, but you're saying A for alpha. Or if you're talking about, it could be N for November, and you do not say N for Nagpur, for example. So every industry has got its own terminologies. So you need to specialize. There are specialized courses. You have the IATA UFTA training program, which is one of the best in the world. You should attend to that. Get a 6-month diploma in that. Do the basic, then do the advanced. Then do some management programs if you want to become managers. But my recommendation is that you start at the bottom and you learn the ropes. In any trade, you got to be very, very good in what you're doing. So to that extent, you must be prepared to slog. You must be prepared to work very, very hard. I have lots of people who have grown from being a ticketing clerk to being general managers to vice presidents. So the opportunities are huge. I think make sure that you have all the right, skills with you. It's very important that as you grow, it becomes more and more, important for your communication. For example, it needs to be ensure that you have very good communication skills. You'll be managing teams. So all those things will come into play as we move forward. Yeah. So the other thing is that you need to learn almost on a daily basis. You need to learn on a daily basis. So what happens is that your learning has to ensure that you progress in your career. It's very, very important that you every day your learning becomes more and more. So ensure that. Just give me a second, please. Just charging my phone. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry about that. So, so you have different departments in travel and tourism, or you take hospitality. It could be the hotel industry. So there are different jobs available in the hotel industry. You could get into a kitchen role. You could get into front office. You could get into marketing. So, or human resources. It's a travel and tourism and hospitality employ a large number of people. So there are people who are required to manage those people. So learn the basics of the travel industry and the tourism industry, and you'll definitely get a lot of opportunities as you grow, because this industry is looking for experts. And if you are good, you'll always find a good job, and you can always grow with that knowledge. So I think, for people who are 12th and 12th class, 16, 17-year-olds, you need to invest in education for the next 3 to 4 years. Then try and find an internship with one of the travel and tourism companies or a hotel. Learn your ropes as we move forward, and then take it from there. So, there are plenty of opportunities. And what are the benefits of this job? One of the big benefits is that you get to travel. If you like traveling, there is no better job than travel and tourism. Then you get to make new people, learn new languages, taste new food. Like, for example, I'm a foodie. I just love traveling because I can taste different kinds of food across the world. And I've been very fortunate to have traveled to Europe, to Africa, to the Middle East, to Australia, to New Zealand, Japan, US, Canada, and South America. So there's a big world waiting outside for you to explore. So I think make use of that. And how do you ensure that you have a career progression? The only way you can do that is to learn more and more, get new skills. For example, if you are a domestic tourism operator, learn new skills, become an international tourism expert. So like this, you can, go on adding in this industry. It's a very, very good industry to be in. And once COVID is over, I'm sure you'll start seeing the green shoots of revival of travel and tourism. And there are many organizations across the country and the world where you can find employment. You don't have to only go with the big boys. You can also have small travel companies. But what is most important is that you have to be very honest in your hard work. You have to be always looking for knowledge. Even at the age of 60, I'm still looking to learn new things. I've had a fabulous career for 38 years, but I'm now wearing a new hat, which is in wellness and healing. So for me, every day is a new day. Every day is a new learning. So hunger for knowledge, hunger for curiosity. Do not lose the childhood in you. Do not lose a child in you. Always be hungry for knowledge. So with that, I will be happy to take questions. Any specific 3-4 questions that we can take, Fuzail bhai?
Sure, sir. Thank you so much for your crisp and very nice presentation and inputs regarding the travel and tourism industry for our juniors. Um, I just quickly want to ask a few questions
Sure.
which have come from the candidates. Um, now, uh, Shahab Sheikh asks, Sir, I want to know if hotel management is a secure career for the near future or in the long run, considering the ongoing pandemic, as the pandemic has caused a major setback to this field.
Who asked this question?
It was asked by Sabah Sheikh.
Sabash Bhai, it's very
Sabah.
simple. It is the COVID pandemic has impacted many industries, and travel and tourism is one of the biggest impact. Has been impacted one of the biggest by this COVID. But definitely, it is going to come back in 12, 15, 18 months. Is going to come back, and hospitality, hotel management is going to be a very, very good career for you, because once travel starts again, people will need to travel. They will need to be put up in hotels, and it's only a matter of time. And my personal estimate is that 12 to 18 months is when this whole thing is going to be affected. By end of 2021, you'll start seeing the revival. And industry is very good because it offers a very wholesome career. And you asked me the question if it is safe. What is safe today? Everything could be affected. So to that extent, it's as safe as any other industry. But if one of the few things that you need to, if you're entering the hotel industry, be prepared for long hours, because hotel industry has customers who might be checking in even at 11 o'clock in the night. So if you're prepared for very hard work, very long hours, it's a very fulfilling industry. You can grow, you can make money, you can also experience a lot of opportunities to travel, because as you grow in the organization, you'll get an opportunity to travel. And it is a rewarding industry because after all, you're dealing with customers who are going to stay there or eat there. So hotel industry is definitely something that you should look out for. But for the next 12 to 18 months, slow.
Thank you, sir. Next question is from Miss Amina Sheikh. Sir, I have done IATA diploma in 2019. I am in SYBA right now doing correspondence from Mumbai University. So, which is there any advanced course that I can do? I have searched for jobs, but each one of them wants experienced candidates. What shall I do? Please guide me.
So Amina, I must tell you, when I started my career at the age of 21, I had the same problem because everybody wanted experienced people joining. So in the third interview, I asked the recruiting manager, even before he started, sir, if your question is whether I have experience or not, the answer is no. But how will I get experience if I don't work anywhere? So don't be disheartened, Amina. But to answer the second part of your first part of your question, with an IATA UFTA basic diploma, that is only the starting point. My suggestion is that you should find a temporary or intern kind of a job in a travel company, whenever that is, maybe next year. In the meanwhile, you could apply for an advanced version of IATA UFTA, or you can do, there are many programs which are available on universities, offered by universities, which is travel and tourism. You should definitely look at doing an advanced program in travel and tourism. Get at least 1 year's training in a travel company or a tour operating company. Then the career is ahead of you. But don't be disheartened. All of us start with no experience. The only experience we have is of having been born in your mother's womb. There is no other experience when you come into the world.
Thank you, sir. Last question that I would like to ask you is Dr. Nabi Rasool Nalatwad. He asks you to shed some light on the tourist guides as a career.
Good question, Doctor. I think this is one of the one of the areas which have been neglected, because if you look at any tourism market, any large tourism market, go to Paris, go to London, one of the biggest earners in that industry are the guides. And in India, it's been given a stepmotherly treatment, and it has always been looked upon as a career for somebody who's not good in anything else. But that's not the truth. Guiding is an amazing career because you are the person actually showing the foreign tourist or a domestic tourist what that destination is all about. So there are professional programs in guiding. The IITTM in Noida, I know because I used to be a guest lecturer there. They have specific programs for guides and tour operators. And I think this is one area the government of India is going to look into very closely. This area requires a lot more people coming in because this is not a very popular area. But to answer your question, doctor, I think it's fantastic area to be in, and it's only going to grow as we develop tourism circuits, not only in India but across the world. I can take a couple of more questions because we have time.
Sure, sir. Anonymous question. Please give me some guidance or travel tips as a traveler, and also how to earn while traveling.
I didn't understand that question.
The question is some guidance to become a traveler and also earn while doing so.
Okay.
Is there any global organization that helps facilitate something on those lines?
Yeah. Very interesting question. But to answer your first part, you don't need any expertise advice to become a traveler. Just pack your backpack and get on the road. So you're a traveler. So you could travel on the road. You could travel by train. But to answer the second part of your question, which is earn while you travel, all you need to do is to go into Mr. Google and ask him. You will find lots of answers to that, because you could be an English language teacher. You got to get qualified for that. Many countries in Europe where English is not the first language actually have these part-time teachers who are travelers. You can teach a skill. It could be even tailoring, or it could be making pottery. Any skill where there is demand for other people to learn, you could earn money from that. Or you could wait at tables, or you could wait in a pub. There are many ways of earning money. My only request is do it the legal way.
Thank you, sir. Another anonymous. Sir, I want to know for the BSc in hospitality management or hotel management, which one which one is better?
It all depends on the curriculum. I have no idea which university you're talking about, but forget about the name. The nomenclature is not important. What you should look at is the content. So any good hospitality hotel management program would have the basic ingredients of kitchen, that's production of food, service, and the rooms, and conferences, obviously. So these are the four main ingredients of a program. If all these ingredients are there, it should be a good program. But you should always choose a good university. You should always choose a university from where a lot of good people have come out. One of the good places that you can try, the Oberoi School of Management, which is part of the Oberoi Group of Hotels, which is based in Delhi. And similarly, the Welcome Group has a training institute. Look at places where you can get placed by the organization which is owning that school. So that gives you a better chance. Like that, there are many institutes, IIHMs of the world. So both these are very good. Both options are good.
Thank you, sir. And our next question is, is there any PhD, or what is the highest educational qualification you can have in the travel and tourism industry as such?
I would think it'll be a PhD. There are many universities that offer PhD in tourism, in hospitality. Check out some of the universities in Europe, in Australia, but that would only happen after you finished your masters. So once your masters are done, then you can opt for a PhD. It could be researching on destinations. It could be researching on new trends in tourism. So PhD would, I believe, would be the highest qualification, like in many other fields, travel and tourism. But my request for anyone wanting to do a PhD is that after their graduation or post-graduation, work in the industry for at least 3 to 4 years, because there is no knowledge that you can gain more than practical knowledge. So all that I'm talking to you today impromptu is from the years of experience that I've had. So always make it a point to work 2, 3, 4 years across different functions of the travel and tourism industry before you go for a PhD, because you will then be able to relate a lot of things when you're doing the research.
Okay, so again, anonymous. Sir, can you throw some light on ecotourism?
Interesting. Ecotourism is essentially being one with the nature and to be ecologically friendly. So there are various aspects of ecotourism. For example, it has to do with plastic-free environments, for example. It has to do with how much electricity is consumed, how much carbon footprint you leave behind. So ecotourism is also a fad nowadays. So there are a lot of pseudo-ecotourism projects, but the genuine ones are the ones where you find that they generate their own electricity using solar panels, for example. Or it could be a resort which has not a single plastic bag that is being used. Or it could be that the local, also ecotourism has a lot to do with the local environment and the employment that you offer to the local villages, for example. So it could be pottery that is being used from the local market. It could be weavers, or it could be any of those craftsmen who are contributing to that initiative and earning a living. So you're actually doing two good things. One is that you're creating an ecotourism environment and providing employment to the locals. So in terms of power, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of employment, all these are very different from a traditional resort, for example. And ecotourism also ensures that you retain the sanctity of Mother Earth. You don't throw too many Coke bottles, for example. So all these are part of the ecotourism, and it's a big subject in itself. There is you should actually look at doing a free course in ecotourism from Harvard University, which is available online now. So that throws some example. Unless you want a certificate, the course is free. So you can check that out. Harvard University's online programs.
Thank you, sir. Another interesting question. Another anonymous person.
Why
Says,
they don't want to?
I don't know why. I don't know why they're asking anonymous. Please share your names. It's okay. Don't be shy. So the question says, sir, agricultural tourism in India in the future, or agri-tourism, what do you think, sir?
Very good question, actually, because Israel is a classic example of agri-tourism. But agri-tourism has to have some lessons for the other people. Now, just taking them to a field and showing them how rice is being grown is not agri-tourism. So you need to ensure that there is sufficient learning opportunity. Now, for example, you go to Israel, you have drip irrigation as one of the early lessons from Israel, or you have waterless growing of vegetables. Where how do you do that? So these are some of the scientific lessons that have to be learned while doing agri-tourism. So unless there is a lot of meat in the content of the tourism program, agri-tourism will not succeed. Nobody is interested in going and seeing how wheat is grown in Punjab, but they want to know what are the new techniques, what are the new benefits. How do you ensure that the production of the grain is multipliable using new technologies without using, say, for example, fertilizers? Those are some of the agri-tourism opportunities that one has. India definitely has a lot of scope for that. I think it is still very much in the infancy in India. But to answer your question, agri-tourism is something that will find its way in the future.
So it's doable in India, sir?
Very much doable in India, provided you can create that environment.
I hope that answers the question. Okay. And just let me go through the other questions.
I can also just share with you, while you're looking at the question,
sure,
the number of areas that tourism can be used. For example, sports is a big area of tourism. So in fact, a few years ago, I had entered into a joint venture with a gentleman called Ravi Shastri to create a sports tourism venture before he went back to being the coach of the Indian team. So sports tourism is something very big. Medical tourism obviously is going to
Yeah, there is another
play a
question on
big
medical
role.
tourism. So if you can throw some light on medical
Wellness.
tourism.
Okay. Okay. So what is medical tourism? Medical tourism uses the basic formula that medical treatment and the quality of treatment in one country like India is far cheaper than doing it, say, in the US or Europe, and the quality is also very high. So medical tourism is an area which essentially looks at the various diseases and surgeries that are very expensive in another market, and you have a fantastic price advantage in a country like an India or a Thailand or a Vietnam. So wherever there is medical tourism, the facilities have to be very good. So you need to have high quality hospitals, or it could even be wellness tourism, high quality Ayurveda centers. So medical tourism is something that attracts. Now, for example, I was in Kerala a couple of years ago for an Ayurvedic therapy, and I found there were 25 Arabs there with their families. Then they were staying there for 3 weeks for Ayurveda. So that's medical tourism, that's wellness tourism. So huge opportunity, and this is going to be one of the biggest tourism areas of the future. The total market size of this is $4.5 trillion. I don't even know how many zeros make that.
Wow, that's huge, I'm sure then. And I've heard also, in fact, I was talking to another medical tourism person the other day, and they were saying there's a lot of potential for medical tourism. And in fact, a lot of people from Middle East and all of that already travel here for
Yeah.
medical tourism and from
Especially
across the
during,
world. So it's a growing industry, and I think it has a lot of scope, no doubt about it.
especially during Ramadan, June, July, they'll all be in Kerala.
Yes, Middle East and Kerala. They go a long way. Sure. So another question, sir, here from Mohammed Ziauddin says, how do I become a master chef?
Hmm. Yeah, to become a master chef, first you have to be a chef, Mohammed Bhai. First you become a chef, then you will become a master chef. For that, you have to enter catering or join a restaurant or do a food craft institute. So first become a chef, then you will become a master chef. So it is like, how do you become a millionaire? Have you know the answer for that? How do you become a millionaire? The easiest way is becoming a millionaire is to start with 2 million. That's fine. Next question.
Okay. I think we've answered most of the questions that
I'll
are
just take
relevant
one
to
last
travel and
one.
tourism.
Yeah, I'll just
Any
also.
other insights that you'd like to share with us, sir?
Yeah, I'll
Please.
just tell you about the new industry that I'm in, which is wellness and healing. It is part of the big industry of $4.5 trillion. This niche is about $1 trillion, and in India, it's a very nascent niche area where we are dealing with traditional and natural healing only. So, for example, you have yoga, you have meditation, you have Ayurveda, you have acupuncture, you have acupressure, you have psychic healing, the pranic healing. And we also do mental wellness. So people who are affected by COVID, they are staying home, they're working from home. So there are a lot of emotional imbalances and a lot of suicidal tendencies. So we have counselors who are very, very efficient in, getting these problems solved for people. It's a huge industry in itself. But to come back to the original subject of travel and tourism, it's only a matter of time before it revives. But it could be anybody's guess, could be 12, 18 months. But if you're patient, that's an industry that's going to go a big, big way. And I think I've run out of time now. Thank you very much for this opportunity for the young people from your organization. And I wish them all well. And
Thank you, sir. Really nice of you for sharing your time. Gopi sir is extremely busy with his launch, but he still got a lot of, pulled out a lot of time, and he's here for all of you. So, big thank you to you, sir, from everybody. And
it's
so we'll
been
just
nice talking to you. Yeah.
yes,
And you
sir.
can share with them my email ID if anybody wants to send a mail.
Sure.
Yeah, that'll be okay.
Sure. We will actually be sharing this. video. This video is online and it's already live. And in case you please do feel free to share this video with all of your colleagues, friends, about all
Send
of
me a
the
link. I
travel and
will
tourism that
send
we
me a
have.
link and I will put it on my Facebook.
Sure, sir. And thank you again. And Shehzad bhai, over for you to the wrap up.
Thank you so much, Fuzail bhai. Just everyone, give me one moment. I've shared the Facebook Live link in the chat box as well, in case if somebody wants to go back and watch before we upload it to the YouTube channel. They can watch the entire session, which has been recorded on Facebook page of ANP. I've shared the link with you all. And thank you so much, Gopi sir, for such an insightful session. And I hope that everyone who has attended this session must have gained a lot of knowledge and must benefit from it. To all the participants, it was fantastic to have you all on board. ANP organizes such session by highly qualified professionals and experts in a particular field to share their learnings and viewpoints to guide not only you but everyone. So we request you all to keep joining these sessions, which will help you in choosing a right career, which will help you succeed in your career, and also share this with your friends and family to ask them to join these sessions as well. So we are now going to end this session with a short dua.
So I'll just say goodbye before that.
Yes, you can.
Thank you everybody for being with me. Shukriya, Khuda Hafiz.
Shukriya, Allah Hafiz, sir.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين يا أول الأولين يا آخر الآخرين يا ذا القوة المتين يا راحم المساكين يا أرحم الراحمين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم اللهم أنت السلام ومنك السلام تبارك ربنا وتعالى يا ذا الجلال والإكرام ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي امري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم يسر لنا امورنا كلها مع راحتي لقلوبنا وابداننا والسلامة والعافية في ديننا ودنيانا حسبي الله لا اله الا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين Thank you everyone for
Salam. Bye, sir. Thank you,
being a
Gopinath,
part
sir,
of
Bye.
once again for your time. Very, really nice of you to come with us on such short notice. Wish you all the very best with your future and Ayur wellness and the future of India. And I'm sure the travel and tourism industry in India also is going to pick up soon. Everybody, please do stay safe and take care of yourselves.